After so many months, so, so much time in the making, we've finally been able to do it.
We can finally say it.
Can we?
Yeah,
Can we? Okay,
of
since we
course
can
we
say
can.
it, I will say it. I will
Yeah, you can
take
say it.
the initiative. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Gamelitical Correct podcast. First of all, few words of introduction. My name is Michael. I've been a gamer for about 25 years now. This is my hobby. This is everything that I've ever loved during my life, except my girlfriend. we have to give props to our women as well.
Yeah, of course we do.
We've had the idea with my friend George here for quite some time to make a show to build a community around gaming, and we think this is the perfect opportunity. We've been working for it for quite a few months now, and I think we're finally ready to start the show. And I hope everybody watching enjoys the show as much as we do. I'm gonna pass it off to you.
My name is mentioned already. I am George, and together with Michael, we are very passionate gamers. We've been gamers for many years. Me, myself, I've been competitive gamer for quite some time until this guy right here just jumped into my life and he was like, do you know what? Just cut all this crap, and then you need to actually start playing video games again. And I started like playing real video games again, single player games and all the jam, and I'm finally happy after so many years, more than 20 years, same with him, that we could be able to actually discuss our opinions and our like honest opinions and build a community around gaming news, and what else I can say, dude? maybe we should start because I think we have very very good
Yes,
news in front
we
of us.
have
Actually,
quite the show to run today. These news have been not as hot as last month, but
especially February. But yeah,
February was fire. We were so bummed out that we couldn't start the show last month. We would have made content for 2 months, just for like a week from February, bro. It's been quite crazy.
It was a bummer, but we tried really hard to launch it on February or March, to cover all this hot news. But at the end of the day, we couldn't, our time,
couldn't. We needed difficult. A few extra time, but we needed a bit more time.
We are here now, though.
Right? Hot news will come. Hot news will come. That's the only constant. That's the only thing sure. This is the Gamelitical Correct. I fucked up the name in the first episode. This is the Gamelitical Correct podcast, as I said before. I want to take a few minutes of your time just to explain what the audience can expect watching this show. I would like to say that this is an as much as we can, this is going to be an unbiased show. On this show, you're going to hear honest to God opinions. We are not going to be influenced by any politics or any news outlets throughout the lifespan of this show, however long it runs. Hopefully it runs for quite some time. The name Gamelitical Correct can be a bit misleading. We've discussed about that. It's just a pun from political correctness, and we have nothing to do with politics.
Nothing. That's good actually that you made this clear, because as you said, it's a very tricky wordplay. So we need to actually,
Yes, yes,
game
yes, yes.
political. So we need to actually like clear ourselves from this side. We don't have anything to do with political thing. We're here because we're passionate gamers, and that's what we want to. We want to actually see the industry you know evolve and be better for us gamers first.
Hmm.
And that's why we will never gonna we will we will say, let's say, we'll make it like that, right? We will say our opinions gamelically honest.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Gamelitical honest. Oh, hope this catches on.
Yeah.
So, we've have the introduction out of the way now. I think we better get on with some news. We are going to try to make this a weekly show. Hopefully, it won't be as hard uh, as I think it's going to be, but every week, hopefully every Monday, you're going to have an episode of Gamelitical Correct. So, first of all, we have. I'm gonna choose the Black Flag Resynced because it's closer to my heart than Xbox Game Pass. I'm sorry, Xbox.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, what have we seen after a few leaks and after like a month of rumors that Ubisoft is going to release Black Flag remake? Yesterday we finally had the reveal trailer for Assassin's Creed Black Flag Resynced. From what we've seen, it's very close to the original that released initially in 2013, I think. What are your thoughts on the release trailer?
It was good. It was good. It looks good, right? But I think we heard from some leaks that they trying to make modernized gameplay, and even though I'm very like hyped because it's one of my favorite Assassin's Creed games from the series after the trilogy, of course, of Ezio. And yeah, I'm really cautious how it will be, but I think graphics, world, I think they will nail it 100%. I'm pretty sure of that. But I don't know how it will feel if they will bring all these RPG mechanics to a game that it wasn't like that. Yeah, we will see.
I'm quite skeptical as well. At first, I was really excited because Black Flag is my favorite Assassin's Creed game. I've spent the most amount of time on an Assassin's Creed game on Black Flag. Uh, Not so much on the original trilogy, which I've played, but I didn't. I mean, it was great, but I didn't like it as much as Black Flag. That's just
Yeah,
my
different
opinion.
theme.
Yeah, it's a
That's
different
totally
theme.
fair, dude.
Yes, there was when the game originally released, there was criticism on it because there were many trailing missions. Actually, not many. Every other mission was a trailing mission,
Yeah,
and that was the original criticism of the game. I think if they managed to fix that, I don't know how that would work, but if they managed to fix that, they would have made this game infinitely better if it worked
one hundred
correctly as
percent,
well.
100%. Yeah,
If it worked correctly, I'm quite skeptical because we've seen Ubisoft make horrendous choices throughout the development of the Assassin's Creed franchise. Um, as as far as world building goes, they've shown that they are one of the best in the industry.
yeah, I totally agree on that.
I don't think we need to be worried at all for the how the world is going to look and how it's going to work. Um I in that department I have blind faith in the company. Not that it couldn't go wrong, but I highly doubt that that part of the game could go wrong. Um, Now I'm skeptical in the other, in the other aspects of the game.
gameplay mechanics, RPG mechanics. Even
Yes,
one
because
game.
they've added RPG mechanics to Assassin's Creed where they weren't any in the
That
first
was a
place.
Yeah. It was an action adventure game.
Yes. So let me put out of
Oh,
mute.
that's yeah.
It's okay.
The
It's our
first
first time.
amateur,
It's
the
our
first
first.
amateur
It's our
mistake. It's
first.
fine, I
It's our
think.
first time. Give us cut on some slack. Okay.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I don't think they are going to implement the RPG mechanics that they've had in their past games.
I
It
think
would.
I think they will because they call it remake. So I read somewhere that they will be a modernized gameplay. So if we will take from their modern
What does
titles,
that mean though?
yeah, but if we will take it from the modern era of Assassin's Creed, if they take these as a reference, then I'm assuming they will have RPG mechanics, right? Don't forget that it was a game that had crafting, so there was
Yes,
some RPG elements, but it wasn't an RPG in terms of
they've had
you need to
elements,
have
but it wasn't like.
yeah, you didn't have levels and stuff
Yeah,
like that.
yeah.
But I'm pretty sure that they might do that, and I don't know how I will feel about that.
Um, I think if they actually make a, I don't have faith they could make an actual like good RPG game with good RPG mechanics. From what I've seen in the past three big titles that they've released, I have little to no faith that that's going to be the case. I'm not sure about you.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I think what it bugs me really is why Black Flag. I do get the nostalgia. It's a very like popular game, if not one of the most popular like Assassin's Creed games
It's the
back
most popular pirate game.
yeah, 100%. And in my opinion, the best pirate game. And yeah, I think if you take the history of the company, how many bad decisions they did. I think that's what they try to do now. They try like they need the past. They kind of needing the past to come and save them.
Mm-hmm.
And nostalgia hit and stuff. That's what I'm thinking the most. I mean, like again, we will have another AAA studio exploiting like the remakes and remasters in order like to get the audience back. Will they actually use it as an advantage, or just they will carry on doing all the others? Because me, and actually both of us, we have the same opinion about remakes and remasters. It's good to bring them back in a way, like the new audience to see what we've been playing so many years. But where is when we can put the line, that that's the limit. Is it the main project or a side project, or it should be a side project? Because in our opinion, actually, it should be a side project alongside with making new games and obviously new IPs, right?
Yes, of course. I do think this is a side project, though. I sure hope it's not like a main project thing. I know for a fact that Ubisoft wants a hit right now, and probably their thought process is that why risk a lot of capital that we are not in an easy position to invest in right now to a new IP, while we can at least save a bit of capital to remake an old and beloved game. Old, it's a 13-year-old game. It's not that old, but you can we can remake the Assassin's Creed Black Flag, which is a beloved game, and gain a bit of capital and also gain a bit of
Popularity, but
trust from the gamers that lost their trust in us from these past 5 years, in which they have made.
plus to gain some stock price, right? Because the stock is
Yes,
plummeted right now after so
yes,
many
yes,
bad decisions.
yes. Yeah, that's my take on it. I think this is a side project just to build Ubisoft as a company a little bit, because
Yeah.
they've made a bit of foul decisions in the past 5 years with the games that they've been making and releasing. And I think this is one of the ways that they could, come back a little bit, not fully, but not just a little bit.
We could say the same thing about Prince of Persia, though, right? And they canceled it like 6 months ago or 5 months ago. So they
Yeah,
had the potential to
all of
remake.
these news are screaming to me money problems.
Yeah.
Like if you have a few projects running and you kill half of them just to focus on the other half, I think my bet is that these are money problems. They couldn't allocate the capital, all the projects, and they're just focusing on just a few to survive.
Yeah, but Prince of Persia was almost in the end, you know? So it means that it wasn't the best game and they realized it and they canceled the whole project, because it wasn't at the beginning of production, it was at the end of production. So they already spent the money. So they waste
Yeah,
money of like 3 or 4 or maybe 5 years of development to make the remake of Prince of Persia.
I'm
And now
not
they
sure.
canceled it.
I'm not sure what they did internally. As far as I'm concerned, that's their problem. Personally, I've lost all trust in Ubisoft. So even the little bit of trust that I'm putting in them for Assassin's Creed Black Flag, the remake, that's like the best I could do right now.
Yeah.
I have, let's say, before the leaks and the release trailers, I have had no faith. Now I have little to no faith.
And we can actually explain why we don't have any faith, right? Especially in gameplay mechanics. The game design that they have in the last probably decade, right,
Mhm.
is really stale. They're reusing like stuff to go clear this camp 20,000 times. The stories, they haven't been improved. We don't have memorable characters.
Mhm.
The writing is not that good anymore. Nothing like, I mean, even Black Flag, if there will be so many people that there will be, if it will say lore accurate, right?
Mhm.
Assassin's Creed died in should stop actually when Desmond died in Assassin's Creed 3.
Yeah.
But Black Flag came after that,
Mhm.
and it was a very respectful game to the whole franchise.
Yes.
The story was really good. The world was amazing. Characters were amazing as well.
Yeah.
Many memorable characters. It's Yeah, but you see after that Unity, you would have like characters that they didn't have any identity. They would be completely companions.
Didn't you like Arno?
No, I think that's what I said to you. It was like the main character was kind of like a companion of the boss.
the
I mean,
the
just like
main
go
the
there,
main
do this.
character could be just as well an NPC. It could be.
Yeah, yeah,
It
definitely.
could be. That's while I was playing Unity, that was my impression that um, the main character was going just from A to B, and he was doing things that others told him exactly. And you've had narrative and writing, building story, building the narrative just a little bit, but for in on the bottom line, Arno was just going from A to B, doing exactly what he was told to do, and I didn't like that at all.
Yeah,
Yeah, but Black Flag, we were talking about this yesterday, but Black Flag, it was just just as good as an Assassin's Creed game as an standalone game,
yeah,
because while it was a prequel to Assassin's Creed 3, if you didn't know that, it would be just fine, a standalone game, although be it an Assassin's Creed game. But Ubisoft proved with Black Flag that they could make Assassin's Creed games and not in a linear timeline. It could be
yeah.
far ahead
Not
or
like following
way.
Desmond's story.
Yes,
And yeah,
yes. With Black Flag, they proved that they could do it, but with Unity and Syndicate, and with the
that
newer
was the fall actually.
RPG Assassin's Creed games, to me, they've proved that maybe they couldn't. Maybe they couldn't.
Yeah, because to be honest with you, when they gave us Origins, Origins was quite fine game, you know. But at the end of the day, it wasn't an Assassin's Creed. I know that might sound controversial to everyone, but that's why we are here anyway. But
Just an honest opinion.
yeah, but in my opinion, it's not. It's not an Assassin's Creed game. All the others after Origin is not.
It's really not. And if you are a fan of Assassin's Creed, the franchise, I think you could agree that it's barely an Assassin's Creed game. If you think that an Assassin's Creed game means just the parkour and the hidden blade, then you couldn't get what we're saying right now. But
yeah, I think you should go back and play Assassin's Creed 2 to understand what we're saying, right?
Yes, completely. Speaking of going back, I think we should do a segue, since we've talked about this so much already. How about we talk about Xbox going back on their prices? They've dropped the prices on Game Pass Ultimate and PC, actually. That's the newest decision that Asha Sharma has made. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. That's the newest decision that she made as the Xbox new CEO. What are your thoughts about that?
Pricing changing is good, you know. People they will get lower prices and then they will lose Call of Duty. That's why they change the price anyway, because in the future we're not gonna have Call of Duty as a day one release. But at the end of the day, you know me, I don't think that this system, the way, especially the subscription model that Xbox does, right? I don't think the way that Xbox doing, they're doing very good job on this. I would say, and I said that so many times when we had conversations about it. In my opinion, all these titles, new titles that they're getting, not just Call of Duty. I do get them why they want to get Call of Duty off, because it's one of the most popular title, you know what I mean? But in my opinion, you have so many other popular titles like Halo. Why you need Halo to be day one release on Xbox? You know, you should you should get it after, you should get it included, you know, after like 1 or 2 years. Why you need to do that day one? In these 2 years you're actually losing money. You're losing $60 $70 that it will cost, you know, from day one, from people that they're actually hyped to play Halo or Gears of War or etc., you know.
Yes, because people that just want to play single player games and you release them day one on Game Pass, they're just going to subscribe for 1 month and beat the game and then just move on. They're not going to be consistent consumers to your platform. They are just going to cancel the subscription and they're just going to move on.
Yeah.
It's not a very good tactic for Xbox, because if you think about it like that, which many people do think about it like that, Xbox loses money, because a new Halo release would be like $80 full price on day one, and they could sell, you know, the golden edition or whatever for 100 and 100 plus something. But if you release the game day one on Game Pass, they're just gonna sub for 1 month and then that's it. They're gonna cancel the subscription immediately, possibly, just to play that one game on a very steep discount. You cannot find those type of prices on the gray market. You cannot find those prices for a new game, or even a year after release. You cannot find these prices.
Yeah.
Especially for Halo and Call of Duty and
Forza Horizon. Yeah.
Yes, all of these titles, even a year after release, they are quite expensive. So they are losing money, and I think that's the drop in pricing for Game Pass Ultimate, and Game Pass PC is a very, very good first step to the right direction.
It is.
They dropped the Game Pass Ultimate from $29.99 to $22.99, and the PC version from $16.99 to $13.99. And they've said, apart from that, just for now, the only difference is going to be that you are not going to have Call of Duty day one on
release. Yeah,
on release. Yes,
on Game Pass.
Game Pass.
In my opinion, they could achieve even 12 or 13 or $14 a month. Just get off all your titles as a day one, and just bring other games, indies. Let's make a space like for indies and third party games that they want to actually include themselves to this model. And after like 1 or 2 years of your releases, just bring your games in as well. Then $12 a month, $14 a month is gonna be a very good, But again, the main problem with Xbox is more like how they taught their whole audience. You know what I mean? They have a way to teach their audience that now we have the Game Pass, and this Game Pass is gonna be like all the new releases they're going in. So at the end of the day, the only thing that they wanted was quantity over quality, and that's what we get. So after so many years, we Xbox wouldn't be in such a bad situation in order to become from first party company, exclusives and stuff, consoles, whatever, focus on Xbox community, to become like a third party company to release on PS and all the other platforms that they could, because they need the money. If they didn't do this mistake, they shouldn't have this, shouldn't have done that, in my opinion.
Yes, I think Sharma here, the new Xbox CEO, made a right call to reduce the price. I'm not going to say that she's a better CEO already from Spencer, but I think this is a very good step towards the right direction. If she keeps up, I think she's going to be a great CEO, because mistakes were made while Spencer was the CEO, and she cannot just make everything right in a month or in 2 months. As I said before, we need to give the new CEO time to work on the company. It's going to take time. It's not going to be very fast. We need to wait and see what Asha Sharma is going to do with the company from here on out.
Yeah.
Before we move on, we have a few more topics we want to talk about. But before we move on, I wanted to ask you if you want to speak about the games you've been playing recently.
Oh, that's
threw you under the bus.
Good,
we didn't talk about that.
So these past 2 months, I spent my whole time playing Crimson Desert. And recently I played Windrose as well. In my opinion, that's what Skull and Bones from Ubisoft should have been. But obviously with not 100 millions and millions of money spent and re-released and re-developed the game, whatever. This game right here, it might cost not even 10 million. I might say way too much, because an indie is an indie company.
I think you're saying too much for that game.
Yeah, let's say 5 million or whatever. And they did a very good game. Okay, it's rough around the edges, but It's an early access. At the end of the early access, this game has a huge potential. But I think Windrose is not the game that you want to talk about.
I mean, it's not that I didn't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I think, yeah, Crimson Desert is one of the best gaming experience that I've ever had, in my opinion.
Okay.
And I'm saying that, right? The story's crap. Don't get me wrong.
He said it.
I'm gonna say it.
He said it.
The story is not good, guys. Don't even bother. I think from the whole like story, you will have only two memorable characters with you. The protagonist is shallow as fuck, but it's not. I'm gonna say it again. This game, it wasn't a story-based game. They didn't even release. It wasn't even a story-focused game, right? Because they didn't even release a story trailer, not even once, to explain what's that. This game is a nice combination between Breath of the Wild, Zelda, the two Zelda games actually, slash Red Dead Redemption 2. Obviously, not the story of the Red Dead Redemption.
Of
2.
course, yeah.
Yeah. The same exploration, the same puzzles, the same. Yeah. There is no hand holding, which I really appreciate. It's nice, fresh. It's like a fresh air, like in a very yellow painty world that we're living right now. And tell us with yellow arrows and stuff where we need to go, where we have to go, what we need to explore. It's nice to actually go back to get the high ground again and say, you know what, I need to go and see what is this camp. And 9 out of 10 times you're getting rewarded 100%. There is no doubt in that.
I can't wait to finish my game so I can play Crimson Desert.
What have you been playing though?
I finally had enough time to finish Expedition 33.
Oh, nice.
Couleur Obscure. Hope that's not racist for any of you guys. I finally had time. I've been... my face was very deep into work. I didn't have enough time. I finally had time to finish a game, and oh man, what a game. What a game. There are a few games after they win Game of the Year. When you play them, you finish them, and you can actually see why it was Game of the Year.
Yeah.
Claire Obscure got all the awards from the Game Awards. It farmed hard all the awards in the Game Awards. All of the outlets named it Game of the Year, apart from the Game Awards. They praised it, and man, did it deserve it. Now, it was a AA production from indie studio. It's not AAA. There are a few points on the game that are not great. They're not perfect, but man, the music background and the artistic style of the game, the combat system, it was challenging. I did have my it was very difficult at first, then I got a bit of the hang around it, but it was an overall amazing experience.
Did they mention story, narrative?
Yes,
yes. This was top level, actually.
Yes. And this is my thing. This is what I love in games. I want a good story. And it was an excellent experience. I've had a lot of fun playing and beating the Expedition 33 finally after so many months. And also because I'm a big card gamer, shout out Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel, I've been getting into Slay the Spire after what I saw. When I saw actually that the Slay the Spire 2 came out, and at launch had hundreds of thousands of concurrent players on Steam. I bought a bundle that was on discount also with both games, and I started playing Slay the Spire 1. I've been playing for like 25, I've had 25 hours on record, and I've beaten 2 runs. This game is beating my butt. So
Yeah.
it's a very hard game, but I love card games, and building the deck on the fly. It's a roguelike experience. If you live under a rock and you don't know about it, it's a roguelike experience every time you build your deck from scratch. And I gotta say, it's a headache, but it's a good headache. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's a great headache. So that's what I've
It,
been up to in the past
yeah.
month.
So about Clair Obscur, yeah, well, I played it last year.
Mhm.
It was basically after when I finished Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. In my opinion, uh, I'm a little bit hurt, I mean, from Game Awards because I wanted at least to get something. For example, the best RPG award, in my opinion, should have been
Hundred
Kingdom Come
percent,
Deliverance 2. You know,
100.
like let's give it something. They knew, or Warhorse Studios, they already knew that they couldn't beat Clair Obscur in GOTY race.
Yes.
Even though it was a great game, don't get me wrong, but just give them something from the awards that they actually deserve. You know what I mean? Because it was an amazing RPG experience. Both these games, in my opinion, if someone would say, you know what, Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 was the game of the year, no one would even deny, or like, you would have the haters obviously, but
Yeah.
no one would say they didn't deserve it, because both of the games, they did something amazing last year, and they proved that AAA companies and the whole industry of the AAA, they cannot make these kind of experiences. They either focus behind long-term franchise that they following for 15, 14, 13 installments, or either just spending 2 or 3 or 4 million bucks for projects that they don't even worth it, because they haven't even done the research. And then you
Hmm.
have like gems like these two companies spending 20, 40 million, getting out giving out to gamers bangers, literal bangers,
Hmm.
that obviously they are not perfect, but the experience, at least, it's insane, like,
It
especially
is.
Clair Obscur, the way that they did everything, it was absolutely unbelievable, dude. Like, you cannot even comprehend how they did all this stuff. The writer was a redditor, you know what I mean? She was writing articles in
It's
Reddit
very
on
rare,
Reddit, dude.
very rare to find a good writer on Reddit. It's very rare to find anything good, period, on Reddit. But it's they've made a fantastic job on the game, and it shows. It shows, and they've been awarded literally for their efforts.
Yeah.
I think let's talk about, just briefly before we get to our third main scoop. Let's talk about the new game that Nintendo is going to release soon. Splatoon Raiders. Splatoon Raiders is a spin-off game that they're going to be releasing on the Nintendo Switch too. I think may I think it's exclusive, or are they releasing it on one? I'm not sure.
I think that it is exclusive, if we will consider that is Nintendo. It's gonna
Yeah,
be
yeah.
exclusive
I mean, yeah,
100%.
yeah. It is. It is Nintendo.
Yeah.
Yes. Um. Yeah. This game is going to be releasing in July, I think. On
Yeah. 23rd, I think. Something like that.
I should have written
Yeah,
it
it's
down.
20. Yeah, it's 23rd of July, 2026.
Yes, I think Splatoon as a franchise, it's very cute and very fun game to play. It's not hardcore gaming or whatever you want to call it.
I'm gonna
Uh,
let you do the talking because I'm not too much of a Nintendo guy. So
I'm not
this is
too much of a Nintendo guy either, but
yeah,
I'm more than you. But
yeah,
Splatoon is not hardcore gaming. It's, let's say, more casual co-op game. That's that's what the 1, 2, and 3 Splatoon has been all about. It's a great, fun game. Period.
yep.
There's nothing much to it. I think Splatoon Raiders coming in July sets up the rest of the year very nicely for Nintendo, because it's a co-op up to 4 players experience or a solo. So it's a well-rounder game for the remainder of the year, while players wait for any other releases that Nintendo has until the end of 2026.
So it's gonna be a single player focused spin-off Splatoon then.
Correct. Yes.
Really? Okay,
Yes. It's
sounds
gonna be
interesting.
it's gonna be solo and co-op up to four
Okay,
players.
okay.
Yes.
Because
So
I thought it was kind of like an arena kind of painting fighting game before.
not Raiders, the Splatoon
Not
ones.
Raiders. I mean, like the franchise as a whole.
Yes.
It was
Yes.
more like that, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It
Okay,
was
that sounds interesting then.
it was kind of like that, but I like if they move on to for the rest of the year and release one or two other good games for the rest of the year. That's, I think it's a good starting point for the year, even though it's in July.
They seem that they have the momentum now. Definitely, they have the momentum.
Yes. I think we need to. I've said all I want to say for Splatoon. Have you?
Yeah, you cover me. You know.
Yeah. Um, and I think we're gonna close the show on the Sony controversy that has been popping up for the past week.
Yeah, there was, I
That's
think, an interview of Shusei Yoshida
yes,
discussing stuff that happened with Jim
right.
Ryan while he was president there as well.
Yoshida has been a very big player in Sony. He has helped develop a lot of games: Uncharted, God of War, and many, many more. Who knows how many? And he recently made an interview uh, in which he explicitly said was yeah, that's a USB stick. He explicitly said that Jim Ryan fired him from the company after all these years.
Yeah, because I think he didn't like, he wanted to do something different, and Yoshida was saying no all the time, and he didn't listen to him. He didn't comply, basically, to the
He,
boss.
yes, he didn't comply to the boss.
Yeah.
I've read that. I didn't watch the interview, but I've read that he said explicitly that he was a casualty of live service ideas.
I thought so. You see,
Yes.
Yoshida, he was a president of the worldwide studios on Sony Entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
From 2008 till 2019. So this time period, we're talking about great games, right? Last of Us, the beginning of Uncharted, basically
God
the
of War.
whole like Naughty Dog great games. He
Mm-hmm.
was there, and in the end, he helped enormously. The Ghost of Tsushima and Sucker Pants to
Mm-hmm.
build the game. He was always a huge advocate of, like, he knew because he joined Ken Kutaragi at the beginning of the PlayStation, so he knew what is the identity of Sony PlayStation. He knew that the single players is the foundation of this platform, and then that's what we need to do forever, basically. and we cannot like change and do something like, because Fortnite is really popular, or PUBG, or Call of Duty. Let's make something, that's a live
like
service
that.
game.
Yes.
You need to have a lot of knowledge in order to do that. You cannot just go out of the blue, let's make it. And
Yes.
not what you try to do, spending 300 million to make Concord. You know what I mean?
I think
That's
Concord is
not
going
a
to be a
good.
recurring theme on this show.
Yeah, that's not a good result. You know what I mean? That's you cannot do that. Like, it doesn't work like that. And most of these games, like Fortnite and stuff, it doesn't even like need so much money. Why they spend so much money? Where this
They
money
wanted
went?
down the toilet. I've told you before, but uh, what when I hear this number, like the 300, 400, let's say 300, all right. Let me tell you this, just to put it in perspective, right? Not that this studio in particular could do it, but let's say you take that money and you make 90 Expeditions 33.
Yeah,
90. Do you get that?
yeah.
That's how much money it took to make Concord. And it didn't even last a week. A week.
I don't know this overspending, this AAA, because it's not only Sony. Okay,
Of course, of course.
let's address the elephant in the room. It's the whole industry right now, the whole AAA, space that they're using enormous amounts of money for nothing, literally nothing.
Yep.
I don't think that there is so many like other AAA companies that they can do that anymore. I think maybe Larian is very good. CD Projekt Red, but now with what I'm listening with the last reports, I think it's like 700 or 800 million bucks for Witcher 4. So this is a lot of money.
Yeah,
They
it's a
need
lot
to
of
be
money.
able to get this money back somehow, if the numbers are clear, real, of course, because that's rumors, but that's what I read. I don't know, dude. I sent you that like 2 weeks ago, and we had like some mixed feelings. Witcher is really big franchise anyway. I'm thinking they will nail it. I'm totally sure of it, that they will nail it. But that's a lot of money.
It's a tremendous amount of money, but I don't. After what we've seen with Kingdom Come and the Expedition 33, I no longer think that you should spend so much money on a game.
No.
I don't think they should. I don't want that for them. Like,
Yeah.
why would you spend like 400 million, let's say, or 500 million, where you could spend 50? Yes, the game is not going to be as great or as big or whatever, but you could make, let's say, if you would make a 10 out of 10 game with like 400, you could make like an 8.59 out of 10 game with 50.
Yeah.
I don't think they should spend so much money on games. That's it. We've seen examples, real life examples, that companies have made wonders with a fraction of the cost.
Yeah.
It's
And
absolutely crazy to just
well,
to stick on this path of overspending all the time,
yeah.
and actually deliver nothing.
Yeah. It's either overspending about something or making remakes and remasters, and hit nostalgia. That's what they did. And they don't do it at least how Capcom does it. And that's why I kind of appreciate Capcom, even though I'm not playing their games too much, if I'm being honest. But I really appreciate what they're doing, they will drop amazing remakes. Resident Evil 4 remake was an amazing game.
Mm-hmm.
But now they released Resident Evil 9, and it was an amazing game. And out of the blue, they came and make a new IP finally. a new IP,
Yep.
Pragmata,
Pragmata.
which
Oh, we
was a
didn't talk about Pragmata.
yeah, I didn't play it, that's why. But yeah,
Me too.
it's a very like distinct, nice game actually. Like it looks very interesting actually, and it's really unique the way that
Kind of reminds me of Death Stranding. I'm just gonna say that.
yeah, a little bit. Yeah, I see your point, but I think it looks kind of unique for Capcom.
Yes,
They
definitely.
don't try again to hit another Devil May Cry when they should, because they did only 5 installments, and then you have like Resident Evil, you have 9 already, and you
Yeah.
know it's been many years since we had the last
I mean,
DMC, so
the DMC was kind of a different story because DMC after DMC 4, they've tried to reboot the series.
yeah,
Uh, many of people actually don't remember that there was a game called Devil May Cry after Devil May Cry 4, right? And it was a reboot of the series, and it was so bad. It
yeah,
was so bad. People forgot it existed, and because the series was thought to be dead, then Capcom published after so many years Devil May Cry. It wasn't the same. What I'm trying to say, it wasn't the same scenario. The series actually died for so many years,
yeah,
and then they continued. The reboot is not canon, and they've made the you know what I mean.
yeah. I know what you mean. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah. At least Capcom, I think, is one of the best companies right now. Like they're doing it well. They know what to do. I think with the new Monster Hunter, they fumbled a little bit, and the Dragon's Dogma 2 that had very good potential to be a very good game. But I play honestly 55 hours. It was a good game, nice gameplay, but the story wasn't so good. Plus, there is a lot of people that they believe that the open world thing, the open world theme of with this engine that Capcom using, it's not it's not so optimized, and I can tell, and I totally agree with them. Like you have a lot of like optimization issues when the whole engine leaves the linear world and go to open world. But I think there is a huge studio. They listening player feedback all the time. They try to improve, and they always go up as a company. And that's one of the good like companies that you could actually look up to.
Yeah.
All the others, and and for God, please, we need to stop. Not stop. Let's pause. We need to pause all these franchise based games. We need some new games, new ideas. I do understand why they don't do it, because there is a lot of millions at stake and they cannot risk them to the new projects, but that's not we going forward. That's not the way we're going forward. We need to actually create new experiences, new games, new characters, new memorable characters. We cannot like living up to huge franchise, let's say Assassin's Creed, because Ezio was one of the most memorable characters, and then we need to build up on the greed and whatever,
Yeah.
and sift away the whole vision of the game and make something new and just label it as Assassin's Creed, because it's not.
Yeah. Just
It's
not. Yes.
yeah. It's kind of like make a Resident Evil and now you don't fight zombies but you fight aliens. Resident Evil 10.
Yeah.
Is it the Resident Evil? No, it's not.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. It's like you cannot do that. I mean, even Resident Evil 7, it was well received game, but it got criticized because, and Village as well, because they were first person shooters.
Mm-hmm.
Just for just one perspective change, and people hate it, and then that's not Resident Evil. That's not Resident Evil. Where's the zombies? Where is that? Where is the other? You know, because that's what they tried to do at the beginning. They didn't have like do you have like a very corrupted family with some demon shit on the Resident Evil 7, but Resident Evil 8 is about like vampires, if I'm not mistaken. So
Mm.
It's not so much of Resident Evil theme, you know what I mean? Even though it's still dark, horror, whatever, survival, the survival aspect that has, yeah, but it's not a Resident Evil. That's why they went back to 9. And 9 is literally a Resident Evil game.
Yes, it's the closest to the originals, the old ones.
Yeah.
They have tied it to the lore, like 7 and 8, like the monsters that are present in the game, the main antagonists are tied to the lore. They're not, completely out of place, but they are the the scenario and the narrative is very out of place. It's
Yeah. Doesn't mean that they're bad games. They're very good games.
yes,
They still nailed it, but
yeah, I mean,
the
at the end of
feeling
the
is
day,
not that.
it's horror, you know.
Yeah.
They could be good games even though they're a bit out of place, but they were a bit out of place.
And they were criticized about that as well. That they
Of course
were
they were.
way too horror games, especially 7. They try like to get like more PT kind of vibes, obviously.
I mean,
Not the
everybody
same,
did.
but yeah. Yeah, back then, yeah,
Everybody
everyone.
did.
Yeah, you did have the
Everybody
loop,
did.
obviously, but yeah.
Yeah.
You try to make these jump scares and stuff, that obviously the old
PT
Resident
has
Evil.
influenced the horror industry for like 10 years straight.
Yeah.
It was very influential, and a lot of companies actually tried, not to copy it, but just to follow in that
Yeah.
direction, a bit artistically or gameplay mechanics. We've seen how many horror games I've seen that
But
have
they have the loop mechanic.
the loop
Yeah.
mechanic. I don't even know how many.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's yeah, but with the remakes, that discussion is very long. I don't mind remakes. If we could, have new IPs, I would prefer that 100% of the time. But I also get the appeal. Sometimes I even, want to relive the experience that I've had before, like so many years ago.
Relived though, no altered.
Yes, yes,
Listen to your words, right?
yes, I am.
Relieved. And that's why I want to shout out to Todd Howard. I'm not doing it like I know one of
Todd
my friends
Howard.
now. Yeah, one of my friends now are gonna hate me about it.
Okay.
But he came out and say that
16 times the detail.
yeah, I'm not talking about that bullshit. But it's a good shout out though, because he said I don't want to remake the experience. When he did the Oblivion, he did a remaster. He said I just want to bring to the new audience, new graphics, whatever, but the experience, the same experience that the people in 2005, 2006, when it was released, I don't remember, that they had back then, you know.
Mhm.
And that's the most important thing in my eyes. The most of the people that I'm discussing about it, they're saying that they would rather have a new experience. Yeah, but if you want a new experience, it's not an Oblivion game
Yeah.
anymore. It's not an Elder Scrolls anymore. You will do
I,
something different. Go play something different.
I haven't played Oblivion, uh, but from what I've heard, that they wanted the experience to be as close, apart from graphically, of course, to Oblivion,
Yeah.
to the original. So there are bugs that are left from the original
Yeah.
Oblivion into the new Oblivion. Like there were bugs that would let you duplicate items or just duplicate gold or
If
multiply gold or whatever, and they kept those in the game just so you can have the same, as close experience
even
to
the
the
game
original.
breaking,
Yeah,
even
the
the
game
game
breaking.
breaking
Yes,
bugs,
yes.
that you can be OP in hours, whatever, and then you will be
Yeah,
in
yeah, yeah.
minutes, whatever, and then you can exploit the whole game. They knew what they were doing. The whole experience is there.
Yeah, yeah.
And but it's more refined, a little bit more refined than in a new engine,
Of
and
course.
that's it. But he needs to get shouted about it. I mean, it's just like he's good. that's a good thinking, in my opinion. That's
Yeah.
how you need to bring the old experience to the new people,
Yes, that's how you need
refined
to
but not
make.
change.
That's how you need to make the remakes. Yes, you don't need actually you cannot change the whole game and just call it a remake. It needs to be close to the original, so the new gamers can appreciate. Actually, the old gamers can have the nostalgia and appreciate the game and what you've made, and the new players can experience the remake and actually get what the old gamers are talking about when they're talking about these games. They need to make a game, a remake. Even if you have to make a remake, we are not huge fans, but if you have to make a remake, you need to make the game in such a manner that it's a bridge between generations.
Yeah,
You
very good
need to make
examples.
you need to make the game like that so that the new gamers can connect with the old ones, and
Exactly.
the old gamers can say to the new ones that this is what we're talking about. This is the game I've played when I was a kid.
And I think the only two studios that they nailed that thing, honestly, is Capcom with the Resident Evil series.
Hmm.
Resident Evil 2 remake was amazing game. Completely changed, but it was,
Yeah, it's
it was
great.
still felt like a Resident Evil 2. Even the
Hmm.
people that they play Resident Evil 2 with that had the top-down camera, now they have the third-person camera, but it still felt like you were playing Resident Evil 2. It wasn't out of place.
Hmm.
And then the other game that actually baffled everyone, you know, it was from Bloober Team when they did the Silent Hill 2. The Silent Hill 2 was insanely good
Yes.
remake. Everyone was saying that. Even one content creator that we both know, that we know that he's a very fan of this game,
Mm.
he praised it. And
Yeah.
when you have people like that basically literally this game changed their lives, as they were talking about, you
Mm.
know, you know, when they praise it and they accept it as a product, even though it was a remake and it didn't have the same, well, it wasn't the same game as it was back in 2000s,
Of
and
course.
they say good things about it, it means that they did an amazing job. I don't have problems
Yes.
with these kind of remakes, but
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
don't come in and change the principles of the game, the main principles, the gameplay, whatever. You cannot do that. Refined it, yeah, because you need to bring the 2000s game back to 2026 standards for people to play, but don't ruin the magic,
Yes.
you know.
It's a very fine line. It's a very fine line, but it's a very fine line also at the same time it's not so hard to achieve. It's very hard to make the game as it was and capture the feeling. That's the hard part. But to go over the line and add things that shouldn't be there, that weren't there in the first place, that's when you cross the line and people are not satisfied with the game that they receive.
Yeah.
You have you have so many gamers that actually straight up don't recommend the remakes and just recommend the players to just find a way to play the old games.
Yeah,
And I
just go play
completely,
the old games. Yeah,
yeah, I completely agree. So in some cases, I completely agree. You should play the original
when you can, actually,
when
when
you
you
can.
can do
Yes,
it,
because
because there is
because
some games
sometimes
that
you
they,
can't.
yeah, some games they can't, you cannot do it. There is, I mean, you can do it, but you need to struggle, what I mean. You
Yeah,
need to put your mind back to how it used to be, and that's
yeah.
how you need to play the game. Otherwise you will not gonna survive even 1 hour. You will you will uninstall this
I mean,
immediately.
yeah. So some games, even though we've loved them and we've played them as children, and we've had great experiences and we've kept great memories from them, they have aged very badly.
Yeah, yeah,
uh,
definitely.
and I completely get, like in those games that have aged badly, if you make remakes of them, but at the same time, you shouldn't really mess it up.
Yeah,
Like, you should try to find each aspect of the game that makes the game what it is, and then try to bring it to now. It is hard, but I don't know. Companies have shown the struggle that they completely miss the mark.
Yeah.
Like it's not that they can't do it. They miss the mark and they do something else. You know what I mean?
I mean, they have other problems, and I think that's why they focus so much on remasters, because Capcom is not like that. But or it might was for one point, but now they are not like that. But I have a feeling that we kneeling way too much on we rely
Mm.
way too much on remasters and remakes to come and save us. Why we need the past to come and save your misreads from community or whatever, the wrongdoings that you did on your recent games. Why you need the past to come and save you just from nostalgia? Obviously, that's obviously is rhetorical, the
Yeah,
the
yeah.
question. We know what is the answer, but I just don't get it. Just listen to player feedback. Try to make a nice game. You've been around. You're a studio, A, B, C studio. You've been around 20 years. You should know what player wants, what player hates. You cannot just make mistakes and spending 200 millions and millions of dollars. Go to the trash bin without even like make a research of what your player want. You know what I mean?
I think they've been making remakes because it's cheaper, and they with something cheaper they can make just the same amount of money, even more from a new IP. So I get it from the perspective that it's a lower risk, since you have already something that worked before and you can remake it cheaply, so you can make money again like 20 years after. But this is not how the industry is going to move on forward, and it's kind of troubling because even though we've seen, actually no, we haven't seen fewer remakes in the past few years. We've seen a lot of remakes and remasters, and it seems like the industry is kind of relying heavily on them just to
Yeah.
keep moving forward. I wouldn't mind if they would release like frequently new IPs and they've stuck in the remake, just to make extra money. That's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing at all. But don't rely so heavily on the remakes that you don't release any new IPs.
Yeah. Now we
That's
have either remakes, remasters, or we have franchises. That's what we do. We farming the names way too much,
mhm.
and that's where the franchise fatigue comes.
Yeah, yeah,
Just leave them for 5-10 years, you know, and just come back to them when you can build actual hype with something new. And before that, just try to make a nice experience, make nice games, new games, completely new experiences, and then after 10 years come up and say, you know what, we'll have a new Assassin's Creed, a new Far Cry,
yeah.
and it's gonna be actually new. Then people that will be like, oh, we haven't got it, and
Yeah,
an Assassin's Creed for 10 years now. So
yeah, because right now
I'm
we
down.
get them every 2 or 3 years, and it's like
Yeah,
it's not it's
or
not
just
the especially for Assassin's Creed, the standard has dropped dramatically from
yeah,
what we remember from Black Flag and before Black Flag.
yeah.
The standard has dropped so much, and it's
All
not
I'm
it's not the
all I'm
same anymore.
trying to say, is like we need more people like Thomas Muller, the CEO from Moon Studios.
Mm.
The ambition of this guy to come in and make something new all the time, that he wants to improve the genre that he's working on. Like if you actually see some of his interviews, you can understand how, when he's giving a lot of insight about game dev, of how Metroidvanias, it wasn't very good games, and they came up with the idea of Oris, and they just you know bring back the whole genre in. and everyone start like since then start making Metroidvanias. Like Team Seri did the Silk Song, Hollow
Hmm.
Knights and stuff, and all other like studios they started working after him in Metroidvania, But that's the thing. It's just now, for example, because I forgot to say what we've been playing is one of those games that I forgot to mention. I started playing No Rest for the Wicked, which is basically a game, which is an ARPG, like how is Path of Exile or Diablo,
Hmm.
this kind of genre. And he comes in and say we've been keep playing the same game, we have the same movement, we have the same, it's the same point and click experience for the last 20 years. And that's we rely too much on these mechanics, and maybe we need to make the step forward.
Hmm.
So what he wanted to do, he just wanted to for you to fully control your character with with animation based combat, and obviously it's a little bit more Souls likey, don't get me wrong, but you can actually build your character so overpowered that you cannot feel that you're playing a Souls like. But it's just a fresh, just a fresh game. It's a fresh experience. Like you're playing it and you're like, I've been playing ARPGs for the last 10 years, and all of them they have uh the same like the same gameplay. They don't change too much. The only thing that they change is systems, because he was giving a very good reference about Diablo 2 and how Diablo 2 was the grandfather of the and one of the most important games in the genre. And then he was saying how all the games that they came after Diablo 2 until now, that we have like 2025 2026, until now, all the games that they coming, they have the same pattern, then the same gameplay with this game, with Diablo 2, which was a 1999 game or 2000s, I don't remember. Reimagine.
Somewhere like that.
For 20 years, 20 plus years, we're playing the same way, but the only thing that would change the
2000.
scale,
Yeah.
the only thing that changed the scale is 10x the content. But the way that we're playing is the same.
Yes, yes.
That's what we need. We need ambitious like developers and development teams. We need like these people that they will come again forward and they will make new games. And in my opinion, as you said it so many times, and I said it as well, we will not gonna find those people on AAA space. I think we will see a lot of innovations, a lot of new games, a lot of like amazing experience from AA studios and indies.
It must be corporate, right? So
Definitely is corporate.
yeah, so in big corporations on AAA studios, you have people in suits. Don't get me wrong. Um, you need to have someone in charge.
Yeah.
Um, you need to have someone that makes the big decisions and so far and so forth. But when you have two, three, four, five, 10 of these guys around, and it's basically a filter, right? So
Yeah.
first guy, he says yes to some things, no to some things, and then goes to the next guy and to the next guy to the next guy, and you have a very sterilized idea by the end of that cycle, and maybe they talk to each other and it goes round and around, and the idea stays a bit sterilized at the end. That's what I think is the biggest, as far as creation and innovation goes. That's the biggest pain that goes through at the AAA studios. AA studios, on the other hand, if the development team is like 30 people, 40 people, there's probably gonna be one guy
Even the
on.
CEO working on
Yeah,
these
even the
projects.
CEO
Yeah.
working. Yeah, so there's probably one or two people being heads of the development team. If those people, like, let's say it's just one CEO, man or woman, if they are open-minded and they are creative enough to either create themselves or allow their team to be creative and do their own thing in the game, I think we have 100 times more innovation and creative ideas in the space. And we've seen that in the past 2 or 3 years. We've seen so many AA productions that have been amazing, and they have been beating the competition, blowing AAA games out of the water. There's no comparison at all. That especially last year, AAA games were nowhere to be found.
Yeah,
Nowhere. They've been beaten from the AA productions. I don't think anyone can argue that. No
we
one.
have a thing on Game Awards. I think for Game of the Year, I don't remember exactly the list, but we have Clair Obscur, an indie title.
Mm-hmm.
We had
Silk
Song,
Indie.
another indie. We had Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is a AA company, Warhorse.
Basically indie.
Yeah. Which, by the way, I heard that, I heard the rumors that they were saying that they were working on a new RPG Lord of the Rings game, and I can't wait to see where this is going, because you know how I'm a huge fan of Lord of the Rings, and I think if we will make a new RPG, Warhorse is one of the only companies that they can make.
Wet dream, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. Yeah, especially if it's gonna be from Warhorse Studio, 100%. I want that.
So last year the nominees were Clair Obscur, Hollow Knight, Kingdom Come, Hades.
Four indies.
Four indies. Donkey Kong.
Okay, Nintendo.
Okay, AAA.
It is AAA. Come on,
okay.
Nintendo, dude.
Okay, AAA and Death Stranding.
Okay, so we have only two AAA games, and we have Hades.
Let's say 2 AA's and 2 indies, something like that.
Yeah, that's crazy, dude.
And it wasn't even a contest to, like, let's say, okay, for Death Stranding 2, would you say it's better than Hades 2? See, you have to think about it. Logic says, logically, you would say that the AAA is better than the AA.
As an overall experience, yeah, 100%.
Yes, but you have to think about it.
You have to think about it because
it wasn't an immediate response. That's what I'm trying to say.
Hades is an amazing game,
Yeah, it was an amazing game, but ask if anybody's interested to see their friends' reaction, say that to them, and I'm guessing 99% of gamers will say that Death Stranding 2 was a better game. But the thing is, the immediate response. Is there an immediate response? See what I mean? Because logic says that it should be an immediate response. Like the AAA is better. Yeah, of course.
That's what we've been taught all these years, But since Indies Day came up, we've seen some masterpieces around. People that they actually have ambitions. Recently, one guy released Road in Vostok, I think something like that, He released basically a Stalker, Tarkov kind of experience, realistic shooter, And it was one guy. One guy did the whole work. And if you go to the reviews, you will see a lot of praise from all the community that they love realistic shooters and hardcore experience. They praise him like hell. Like, this guy's crazy, he did something amazing. The same thing happened 2 years ago with Manor Lords. Basically a strategy game, kind of how can I say now? It's like a colonization sim and this kind of thing, I mean?
Okay.
And this guy was on his own. He worked on his own. Like, the scale of these people, they were working on their own, and the scale that they can build is crazy. Schedule 1, on the other hand.
Yeah.
It was a goofy game, but
Goofy.
Tyler did an amazing job creating this game till
Yeah.
today. Like all these mechanics, all these
All
how
of
well
all of
thought it
the
was.
all of the content that is in the game, though.
Yeah, and how well thought it was. How intuitively put all these pieces together and create this amazing puzzle. You know, I mean,
Yeah, yeah,
this you cannot find this magic on
yeah.
AAA anymore. You cannot. And then most of the people they will argue about just because CEOs are not gamers. It's not about that, dude.
Mm-hmm.
CEOs cannot be gamers, but they can understand the audience if they do some research. If you are a good CEO and you're not getting pushed out by your shareholders, because that's what it is, let's be
Mm-hmm.
honest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's the results
And
that you will
also,
get.
and also, you have to understand, and I think CEOs have a problem with that. I mean, just corporate, members in general. Creating games is a creative process. It's creative. It's kind of like you cannot say to a songwriter what to write for a song.
Exactly.
It's a creative process. You have to allow the creator to create.
Yeah.
If you put all these guardrails and instructions on what to make, you are limiting the creators, the developers, to something they might not do a great job at. But if you let them create what they want to create, you have the possibility that it's going to be amazing.
Yeah. And they don't have time frames and time limits, because we see all these AAA games, they taking years and years and years of development in order to be made. So they don't have time limits, or like I need in 2 years to make a AAA game, or 3 years every 4 years.
Mm.
They spend like 7 years. So just give them the room, the creativity room to do whatever they want and create something magical.
I think that wasn't the case until the Cyberpunk 2077 release came out. Because remember, Cyberpunk 2077 was 11 years in production.
Yeah.
If you were following the news at the time before release, you would see that they were pushed very, very hard. CD Projekt, they were pushed to release the game very, very hard because it was so many years in production. I think all of the, because the Cyberpunk, when it was released, flopped initially.
Yeah.
So
It
I
was a
think
kind of a scam, to be honest with you. That's how many
yes,
people are using this term. I don't know if I would agree, but when you have a teaser trailer give you so many content and you don't get not even 20%, let's say, then it could be a scam, if you know what I mean.
I mean you could definitely make the same argument for No Man's Sky, definitely, and they've made that argument for
Yeah,
Lord knows
both
how
of
many times.
both of the games they did a comeback, and in my opinion,
Yes,
No Man's Sky did a more impressive one. But
yes,
yeah,
because yeah, I mean yeah, but the company showed that they care about the product, even though they've made mistakes and they didn't. Uh, Not everything went to plan. They they showed that they wanted to make things right, and they did make things right. That has to count for something.
in my
But
opinion, you need to be clear with the audience
of course,
and your
of course.
shareholders. You building something crazy, right? If you see how much money like Star Citizen gathered, I think it's
Mm,
been close to 1 billion, and it's been we've been waiting for this game like 10 or 12 years, whatever. I don't remember how long it is. In my
probably
opinion, they
longer.
should have come out and say, you know what, this project, we don't even have the technology to make this game yet.
Mm.
So do not expect this game in the next like 15 years. So people that they will come actually and spend the money, they will know what
What to
the
expect? Yeah.
expectations. Yeah, They will have different
Yes.
expectations. Not like that in 5 years we'll have the game and then the game is still in alpha after 10 years.
It's a Star Citizen is a you know it's not an example. It's like in a category of its own as far as development time goes. But I think after Cyberpunk and the way it flopped, companies actually stop pushing for release. That's what I was trying to say before.
Yeah, I see what you mean. I see what you mean. 100%.
Even though CD Projekt took their time to release it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. That's a very unique case as well.
Yes,
That we cannot compare it with someone else.
Yes, but there was so much push on so much pressure on CD Projekt to release the game, and I remember they were pushing back for 2 years. Like, the game isn't ready, we cannot release it. Don't be patient. We're going to release it when it's ready. And the shareholders and, of course, gamers as well started pushing really hard on CD Projekt Red. And I think from the shareholders' perspective, they finally snapped and they released the game after so many years of pressure. They released the game, and you know what happened. You remember, most of gamers remember what happened. And I think from that point on, developers, shareholders were like, let's not push so hard for release. Maybe it's better if we have a little bit of patience.
Yeah, I know. They gave the example, let's not rush it anymore.
Yeah,
I mean, they didn't rush it. Let's be honest. 11 years was a lot of time to make a game, a lot of time, and I think they took the development at the beginning. At one point, they just restart the whole development, because I saw you the picture of what the promises they did in 2013, I think, in one interview that they had about the game, that it was supposed to be an RPG, a full, really in-depth RPG with even D&D mechanics, and and how the world, it was meaningful, and something that we clearly didn't get in the end.
Yes.
Anyway, and yeah, clearly, to don't get it in the end, it means that they started development again and they did something new. Probably. And that's why they took so long.
Probably, yeah. But the expectations and the hype were through the roof for this game. They were saying this is going to be the game of the century, which is a very bold claim. It's a very, very bold claim. And with making that claim, how could you ever deliver? How could you ever?
Especially when we just had, right, 2 years before that, we just had Red Dead Redemption 2.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how you can make this bold take, statement.
I'm pretty sure when they started development, they didn't even, knew that the Red Dead is going to release when it released.
I don't know, dude. You know me. I think Rockstar is the only. There is so many others now, like CD Projekt Red. CD Projekt Red is really good to make rough launches, but they know how to come back very easily. Witcher 3 wasn't the perfect game at the beginning, but they did something amazing. They released 2 amazing DLCs, and they might go for the third one actually. Cyberpunk was a good game. Obviously, wasn't what they promised to us that we'll get, but it's fine. It was an amazing game. It still was like an 8.59 out of 10 game. It was an amazing game still. That doesn't deny anything, But and then we have Larian, as I said so many times. Larian is really good studio as well. They know how to do it. I cannot wait for the new Divinity. What they did with Baldur's Gate 3 was insane. I'm not trying to undermine them. They're amazing studios, but I think when it comes to AAA and how we have to build a AAA and especially an open world game, I think Rockstar knows what they're doing. There is not even close there is no other studio close to Rockstar at this level of quality.
Yeah,
in my opinion,
there really isn't. Yeah, even if they say that their game cost like $500 million or $1 billion or whatever, you could really see where the $1 billion went. You could really see, you could really see where the money went.
And the Take-Two CEO is not a gamer. Strauss Zelnick, he's not a gamer.
You don't need them to be gamers.
He's not. He never played a video game in his life. Like, he's like that, but he knows how to run the company.
Yeah, so you should just hire someone that knows, that is a gamer and knows how to make games. And you need to manage them. That's it. You don't need.
And that's what Asha needs to do. Needs to do a nice research and see what the Xbox players need, and wants,
Same thing.
And just listen to them. And to be honest with you, Phil Spencer was a lovely guy, but he wasn't that. He was a gamer, but he couldn't do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Good gamer doesn't mean good CEO.
We need good games. Good games.
You need to be a good CEO. If you are a good CEO, you're going to have great results. You just need to hire people that love games and are very good at building games. The CEO doesn't need to be a gamer. He or she just have to be a good CEO, and the games will follow. No question about that.
All these monetization practices, the models that they do in Game Pass, whatever, they will find a way to manage to get the money. I have no doubt. But in my opinion, the most important thing that we need right now is good games. That's what they have to prioritize in Xbox and in every like studio over the world. We need good games. And the best way, in my opinion, right now to make a good game is be in development, bake the game for 4 or 5 years, and release it as an early access. I know that most of the companies, they don't do it, but it's the easiest way to make an amazing game. Release it as an early access. These 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 people that they will be hardcore enough to come there and give you enough feedback, they will help you. Why you want to brainstorm with another 100 developers in an oval table and brainstorm like, is this mechanic gonna work on my game? Is this mechanic gonna be good? Just release it in early access, release the mechanic, and get the feedback of how you need to delete this mechanic because it's not good, or how you will improve it to become 10 times better. And that's what Baldur's Gate 3 did, and it became a generational success.
Not everybody has the same thinking as Larian, and it's a pity, actually. Yeah, it's a very pity. So I think we've talked a lot. I think for our first episode we've had a really nice conversation. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
So since this is our first episode of the Gamelitical Correct podcast, should we make the outro? Should we make the outro? Should we be the classic YouTubers that ask you to like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss an episode?
Should we? What do you think?
I think we should. I think we should.
Yeah.
It shows that if you ask the audience to subscribe, they actually will subscribe, or otherwise they will not.
If they like it, of course.
If they like it, of course. Yeah, so we hope you enjoyed. I don't know how many people this will reach, but we hope it will reach a lot of people, so we can build this community that we are so very much excited about. So leave us a like and subscribe to the channel if you want to see more videos like this one. leave us a comment so we can make a discussion in the comments with everyone. I'm pretty sure George will be very active in this comment section, ladies and
Yeah,
gentlemen.
definitely. We will need this feedback, guys. We want to
we
make this show as best as we
Yeah,
could, you know.
so if you also have feedback for us, we will be very, very glad to hear about it. So I think that's it. We will see you next week, hopefully,
Yeah.
if we can manage with work. We probably are going to set up a Patreon. I don't want to say too much, but if you want to support this channel, please consider subscribing to our Patreon and make this, hopefully, in the near or distant future, our full-time job.
Full-time job, and obviously we will stop in the future. It will stop being pre-recorded and will be a live thing.
Yes,
you know.
yes. We didn't want to make it a live stream at first, but this is very much the possible course in the future. Yes.
It's all about you guys, how much you want to watch us more. So when we'll have a bigger audience, then we will do it, you know?
Yeah. So anyway, that's it. See you next week. Thank you very much for watching.
Thank you. Bye. See you soon, guys.